All right, so are you ready to dive into something really fascinating?
Always.
Okay, good. Because today we're going to be looking at computer
Oh,
modeling
wow.
and how it could completely change education as we know it.
Yeah.
You know how you sent over those sources
Yep.
about that workshop they had at Hua Chong Institution in Singapore back in 2015?
Yeah.
It's really cool stuff.
It is.
They were actually using computer simulations to teach physics.
I know.
It's not just about learning about physics.
Mm.
They were using code to explore those concepts.
Right.
I mean, that is super cutting edge.
Oh, for sure. Especially for the time.
Right.
Yeah. You don't often think about computer science and physics together,
Yeah.
but this workshop really brings them together
Yeah.
in a really cool way.
Yeah. It's like instead of students just plugging numbers into formulas,
Right.
they're becoming creators
Exactly.
and designers using code to test their understanding.
Yeah. And, we're talking about Hua Chong Institution.
Oh, yeah.
They're known for their really rigorous programs.
Yes.
Like their science and math talent program and their
Yeah.
gifted education program.
This was not just like some after-school club. This
Yeah.
was serious business,
Absolutely.
designed to really push those high-achieving students.
Yes. And the instructor was Wee Lu King Lawrence.
Okay.
And he was actually invited by Dr. Lim Jit Ning,
Okay.
who's a senior consultant and researcher there.
Wow.
And he has an award for outstanding physics teaching.
That's impressive.
So right away, you know that this workshop
Yeah.
has some really great people behind it.
Yeah, and it's not just a lecture series.
Yeah.
This was a 3-day hands-on experience.
know, I love that.
Spread out over a few weeks. They
Mhm.
even had a day 0
What?
where students had to download software and install Java
Before the workshop even started.
before the workshop even started.
Wow.
Can you imagine asking high schoolers to do that today?
No way.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
Yeah. But
But it just speaks to the level of commitment that they expected from these participants.
for sure. And think about the skills that they were building.
Yeah.
Even before day one.
Yeah.
Just troubleshooting software installations.
Yeah.
That's a really valuable lesson
Yeah.
for anyone going into a STEM field.
Especially for sure.
Yeah.
And they even had flip videos.
Oh, wow. Those are so cool.
Those little short instructional videos you watch before class.
Mhm.
I mean, it seems so commonplace now.
Totally.
But back in 2015,
Yeah,
that was pretty cutting edge.
it really was.
I wonder if those videos are still out there.
Online somewhere.
Yeah, like somewhere online. Maybe
Yeah.
you could
Maybe our listeners could.
try to dig them up
Yeah.
if you're curious.
That'd be cool
That would be cool.
to see how things have changed since then.
Yeah, so day 1 was all about building from scratch,
Yes.
creating basic physics models.
Yeah.
You know, like constant motion,
Mhm.
free fall,
Huh?
right?
The stuff we learned in high school?
Stuff we might remember from high school.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But here's the twist.
Uh.
They weren't just recreating these phenomena.
Right.
They were actually designing the simulations
Oh, wow.
specifically for teaching and learning.
That's really interesting.
It's a totally different way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're not just passively watching a demonstration.
Right.
You're building a simulation, and you have to think deeply
Yeah.
about how each variable
Mm-hmm.
affects the outcome.
It's a much more active way to learn.
Yes, so much more engaging.
Absolutely.
And they had a really great resource they were using,
Well, yeah.
the Singapore Digital Library.
I've heard of that.
It's still around today.
Is it really?
It's packed with open educational resources,
Wow.
including a bunch of these physics simulations.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's a great example of open access
Mm-hmm.
and collaboration in education.
Yeah.
Teachers and students all over the world
Right.
can benefit from these resources.
That's the goal.
Yeah, and the source actually gives a specific example.
Oh, cool.
A simulation of horizontal and vertical motion.
I see.
I know it sounds kind of basic,
Yeah.
but when you think about how a student would build that from scratch,
Right.
it gets pretty interesting.
Yeah, they have to define all the variables
Yeah, velocity acceleration set initial conditions.
and then make it all work visually.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So how did they actually structure these models?
Well, that's a good question.
Was it just like a free-for-all?
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
The models were broken down
Okay.
into some key components.
Yeah.
Variables,
Okay.
initialization,
Mhm.
evolution,
I just lost
actuation,
some things.
custom functions.
Yeah.
And then the HTML view that brings it all together.
I see.
This structure
Yeah.
lets students tackle the problem in a step-by-step way.
So they're not just like randomly typing code.
Yeah.
They're thinking about the underlying structure of the
Yeah.
simulation. Yes.
I'm starting to see how this is really beneficial
Right.
for developing computational thinking skills.
Absolutely.
These skills are becoming so important.
Yeah.
Not just for scientists and engineers,
Mm,
but for anyone who wants to understand
right.
and interact with technology
Yeah.
in a meaningful way.
It's the future.
It really is.
Yeah. So they spent day one building these models.
Yeah, and then what?
Well, day two was all about collaboration
Okay.
and refining those models.
Okay.
They shared their designs,
All right.
got feedback from the instructors, and even tackled the challenge of converting older Java models to JavaScript.
Wait, so why did switch to JavaScript?
It was all about accessibility.
Okay.
Back then, smartphones were becoming super popular,
Right.
and JavaScript just works way better on Android and iOS devices.
The Java.
Exactly.
Okay.
So by converting these models,
Yeah.
they were making them available to way more people. It's like they were thinking about the future of education.
Yeah, for sure.
Making sure that these resources could be accessed by anyone, anywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's pretty forward thinking.
It really is.
So the source actually mentions some specific examples of gravity simulations that they were exploring.
I'd love to check those out.
Oh, me too. I'm always up for a good internet scavenger hunt.
Right.
But what I find really impressive is that they also had time
Okay.
for personalized consultations with the instructors.
That's great.
They weren't just thrown into the deep end and left to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, that one-on-one attention can make a huge difference.
Especially when you're dealing with complex stuff.
Yeah, like physics and computer programming.
Yeah, for sure.
It shows real commitment to student success.
So speaking of challenges,
Yeah.
the source mentions some of the technical hurdles
Okay.
they had to overcome.
Like what?
Working with arrays, using math functions, dealing with 3D JavaScript issues.
I see.
It wasn't always smooth sailing.
But you know those problem-solving skills
Oh, yeah.
they were developing in the process are so valuable.
Right.
They weren't just learning to code.
Right.
They were learning to think critically and overcome obstacles.
Which are essential skills,
For sure.
no matter what you end up doing.
Absolutely.
It's like they were getting a crash course in resilience and adaptability.
Yeah, and let's not forget the collaborative aspect.
Oh, yeah.
They were working together,
Right.
bouncing ideas off each other,
Yeah.
learning from each other's mistakes.
It sounds like they were creating a real learning community,
Yeah,
which is so important for building confidence and fostering a love of learning.
absolutely.
So they've built these simulations, they've refined them,
Yeah.
they've tackled some tough challenges.
Right.
What happens next?
Well, day 3 was all about showcasing their work and focusing on the teaching value of what they created.
So they were thinking like teachers,
Exactly.
considering how these tools could help others.
That's a powerful shift in perspective
Yeah, for sure.
for a student.
And here's the best part.
Okay.
All the models they created
Yes.
were shared on the Singapore Digital Library,
Wow.
making them free
For anyone to use.
for anyone who wanted to use them.
That's amazing.
Talk about a legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, they were contributing to this global knowledge commons,
Yeah.
making education more accessible for everyone.
That's the goal.
It's incredible.
It is.
It's a reminder that learning shouldn't be confined to just a classroom.
No.
Knowledge is meant to be shared
Yeah.
and built upon.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have to admit, I'm getting pretty excited about this workshop.
Me too. It's really inspiring.
They were so ahead of their time.
Yeah. Embracing open educational resources.
On collaborative learning.
Yeah. Before it was even cool.
Exactly. It makes me think, what if we could apply this approach to other subjects?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Could we use computer modeling to teach biology,
Yeah.
chemistry, history,
Imagine history students building simulations of ancient battles.
or biology students
Yeah.
exploring a cell?
Yeah.
I mean, it could revolutionize the way we learn,
It really could.
make education more engaging,
More interactive.
more accessible.
And that brings us back to our main question.
Yeah.
Can computer modeling transform education?
Based on what we've seen from this workshop,
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes.
Definitely.
This workshop was back in 2015,
Yeah.
but it has some serious implications
It really does.
for the future of learning.
Yeah.
I mean, it
That's-
really makes you wonder,
What?
are those students doing now?
Oh, I know.
I bet at least a few of them are out there changing the world
Oh,
with some pretty innovative ideas.
yeah, this kind of experience,
Mhm.
that could be really transformative,
Yeah.
you know? Sparking that passion
Yeah.
for learning and exploration.
And think about the ripple effect.
Oh, yeah.
Those simulations they created are still out there
On the Singapore Digital Library.
on the Singapore Digital Library,
Wow.
being used by teachers and students
Yeah.
that they've never even met. It's like they planted a seed
Yeah.
that continues to grow and spread knowledge.
That's the beauty of open educational resources.
Yeah, they break down barriers and make learning accessible
To anyone.
to anyone with an internet connection.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that education shouldn't be a privilege.
No, it should be a right.
It should be a right.
Right.
And initiatives like this workshop are really paving the way towards a more equitable future.
For learning,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's not just about access to information, though.
Right.
It's about fostering that culture of collaboration.
Yeah. And innovation.
Yeah. Imagine a world where educators around the globe are working together to create and share these kinds of resources, constantly pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, that's what's really exciting.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a one-off event.
Right.
It was a glimpse into the future.
Yeah, where learning is dynamic,
Engaging.
driven by a global community.
And,
Yeah.
maybe you'll be inspired
Oh, yeah.
to create something similar.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe you have a unique skill or a passion
Mm-hmm.
that you could share with the world
Yeah.
through an open educational resource.
I love that challenge.
It's a good one.
It really is a good one.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that we can all be a part of this educational revolution.
Absolutely.
Whether you're teachers or just lifelong learners.
Yeah. Anyone with a curious mind.
With a curious mind, exactly.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want you to consider this.
All right.
What if this approach to learning,
Mm-hmm.
this blend of technology
Sounds
and
serious.
collaboration,
Yeah.
is the key to unlocking
The new era.
the new era of education?
I like that.
One where learning is not a chore,
Right.
but an adventure.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, we started with this single workshop
From 2015.
from 2015,
Yeah.
and we ended up exploring the future of education itself.
That's the power of a deep dive.
That's the power of a deep dive.
It takes you to unexpected places.
It really does.
Yeah.
Keep exploring
Keep questioning.
and keep sharing your knowledge with the world.
Until next time.
Happy diving!